All right. Good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast. Good afternoon also to those of you on the West Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited, and I am joined by
Co-creator, co-founder of Movers Shakers Unlimited, Jerome Bourgeois. And yeah, man, special edition show, Oscars, baby. Look at this. Got all dressed up. Where's your tux, man? Where's your tux?
Hey, I need to get a tux, man. I had one, and once upon a time, but I need to get a new one.
You know what? I guess when we go to the real Oscars, that's the
There you go.
plan.
There
That's
you
the
go. And we'll do
plan,
a live
man.
from the Oscars. How
Live
about
from the
that?
Oscars.
Live
That's how
from
we
the
do it.
Oscars.
But I just had to be in spirit, you know.
But
we
digress.
put this guy right here.
We digress. Welcome to this edition of This Week in Review. You know, the show in which we make the news bits or discuss the news bits, if you will, of the past week. However, you know, with the Oscars, you know, happening in a couple of hours. You know, wanted to be able to, you know, discuss our picks for this edition of This Week in Review. So before we get into it, of course, want to throw quick reminders that if you're watching this episode live, of course, you know, thanks, of course, for watching, you know, taking a look at this episode live. However, if you are, you know, checking it out as an archive episode, that you are using that hashtag This Week in Review. So that's TWnRMNSU. So that's This Week in Review, Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And then, of course, also, you know, if you want to be a Patreon supporter, you know, make sure that you are, and we'll include it there in the link. Make sure you know, become a Patreon supporter with us. We have some cool perks in place for you guys that, you know, want to be Patreon supporters of ours. And then with that being said, I want to give a shout out to Jerome Bourgeois, who is a Patreon supporter of ours.
My sister, yes. She got me these cufflinks too, man. It has my initials on it, you know.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up.
Gotta represent anyway. But thanks for watching episode 54. Episode 54. Ready there, man.
For sure. So without further ado, as I said, we do have the Oscars happening in kind a little later on today. And we wanted to give you, you know, some our perspective. Perhaps you guys, you know, you have your thoughts on some of the nominees and who you picture should win or who you would like to win. Feel free to share it with us there in the comments. Whether you're, you know, joining us live or even, you know, after the fact, maybe, you know, a little later, right before the show, you want to share, you know, some of your thoughts on some of the winners. But with that out of the way, I wanted to hop into right into our nominees. So the first category that we're going to, you know, discuss is writing. So screenwriting for original screenplay. And the nominees that we have, and I'll pull it up here just so you guys can join along with us. We have Belfast, which is written, of course, by Kenneth Branagh. We have Don't Look Up with screenplay by Adam McKay, story by Adam McKay and David Sirota. We have King Richard, written by Zach Baylin. We have Licorice Pizza, written by Paul Thomas Anderson. The Worst Person in the World, written by Eskil Vogt. And I apologize if I'm butchering your name, but Joachim Trier. And I'm probably butchering your name. I sincerely apologize. But still, with the nominees that we have in place, Jerome, who do you have as your pick?
Oh, I'm picking King Richard, written by Zach Baylin. I mean, if it wasn't King Richard, I'd probably go with Don't Look Up because that was a really interesting story too. But King Richard is just the most compelling, and that was my favorite movie. You know, out of all these nominees, and just the story so compelling, and it's such a, you know, interesting and layered story. So I'll go with King Richard.
All right, cool. And I'm gonna have to join you in that. I would say it would be King Richard as well in terms of, you know, the story. You know, I love stories that have that inspirational component to it, of that underdog component of all the challenges that you have to face in order to reach your goal, or to reach that ambition that it takes in order to reach your goal, and those different things that you have to contend with on the way there, and the satisfaction of finally reaching that goal. So any story, and we have some other stories that we're going to get into as we go further through these nominations, that are function in that same exact way of really striving for your dreams, and going after what it is that that you are seeking to achieve, and still, despite the challenges that are placed in front of you, still reaching that goal. So I agree with you absolutely 100% with King Richard. So let's skip forward. Just talked about the nominees for writing an original screenplay. I wanted to get into adapted screenplay. So we have Coda, we have Drive My Car, Dune, Lost Daughter, and Power of the Dog. So with all the selections that we have here, Jerome, of those screenplays, which one would you picture is the one that you see winning the Oscar?
Like I said, and we also have to preface, it's not just about the picks I'm picking are the ones that I like the most out of all of them, and then there'll be some that I'll say that are like, all right, I think might win, but I'm gonna have to say, I mean, the only movie I didn't see in this category was The Lost Daughter, so I can't comment on that one. But out of the ones I've seen, which are the rest, definitely Coda. That movie was really done well, really compelling, really interesting, unique for a story. It's based off of a French film. I haven't seen the original, but I mean, it worked as an American film. I mean, as a remake, and I'd be interested to see with what they changed. But yeah, I mean, you really got a feel for the characters and what it feels like to be someone who's not deaf, but who's a child of deaf adults. I mean, that's what CODA stands for. But yeah, it was, to me, that's like my second pick of the year. But anyway, we'll wait until we get to that category. But yes, CODA. I think it will win too. So that's my pick.
Okay. And I would say for me, the category, or to say the nominee that I picture will win actually will be Power of the Dog. There's been that project has had so much momentum, and for good reason. It's a compelling story, as well as awesome performances, which we'll get into as we get later into the show. I hope Coda wins, but I believe that Power of the Dog will win, just based on the the momentum of how the award season has been going.
I disagree, but yeah.
So, all right. So moving on to our next category, we have visual effects. Nominees that we have that are being nominated. We have Dune, Free Guy, No Time to Die, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, as well as Spider-Man No Way Home. This, I have to admit, is a tricky category because we have some impressive films in this category that we could say have some impressive visual effects. So I'd love to know, JB, which one out of this I feel stacked group of nominees who you feel is going to win.
I mean, I think it is kind of hard. I was about to put Free Guy because Free Guy was really cool and everything, and what they did in that movie. But I'm just giving Spider-Man No Way Home credit just because it should have got nominated for more stuff, because it was a great movie. And I'm surprised like the Suicide Squad wasn't nominated, which is whatever. I mean, you know what I think about how some of these awards shows goes. But I'm still gonna go with Spider-Man No Way Home. I really hope it wins. I'm not sure if it will. I wanted to win something, but I have a feeling. I mean, there's probably a chance that Dune might win, just because it's gotten the most out of all those movies. It has the most nominations, but you never know. Like the people who are voting on that category, they're visual effects artists, so they might actually vote on the visual effects, or they might just vote on whatever's nominated the most. But if Spider-Man No Way Home doesn't win, I hope Free Guy probably wins, because at least that was like a unique story and it was interesting, take on being like a combination of, was it like The Matrix and what was that other movie? Or I guess like Gamer or what is it? Yeah, but the whole idea, yeah, just that idea, or even like the Truman Show kind of. Yeah, it's like a mix of all those films. But yeah, I really have no idea which one's gonna win, but I want Spider-Man No Way Home to win something, so I'm giving it to that. And like, let's just be real, like some of these categories, like, I mean, we can keep debating or whatever, but some of them I think they just win by default if they don't win like a category that's another category that they're nominated that they don't win. So you can kind of see it baked in for some other categories, and I'll talk about that later. But you tell me what you think.
So I get where you're coming from, because I feel like whenever we have a superhero film, like I hate to say, it's kind of thrown a bone of like, okay, here's a a visual effects nomination, and to be fair, like the caliber and the the love that's put into the superhero genre and the caliber of superhero films just in general that we get these days, are a lot of more on par with, the however you want to, shape it or compare it, are on par with some of our best, films that are considered, critic, or independent, whether we're thinking of like independent films or critically loved films, they're on par, whether it's with any of the films that are given that love during award season, with its writing, with its performance, any of those components. So in that regard, I guess I would say I can see Dune actually winning it, just because you're melding so many different components in order to bring those those shots to life. However, I would love to see Spider-Man win, and I would love to see Free Guy win. So in either case, I wouldn't be mad in either of those, but I do believe that Dune will win in this in this case.
So it's not really picks. You're just picking the ones you think might win.
No, because there are some. No, because
that's what I'm doing. We're doing our picks. I'm putting my picks, man.
No.
I don't say which ones I think might win, but I'm gonna tell you which ones.
No. So here's my thoughts. Typically, when we're seeing a film, we have how critics feel about it, and then we also have how general audiences feel about it. So in this case, as we're going through these nominees, there are going to be some cases where I feel that what's going to win is going to equal what I would like to win. And there are going to be cases where what I want to win is not going to equal what I picture will win. So sometimes it's going to happen, it's going to come together and they'll both be the same choice. And sometimes it may not.
So which one are you picking? You're picking Dune then? You're picking Dune?
I'm picking Dune, yeah.
But you really think that's like the one that you think had the best visual effects?
In this case, I'm picturing that Dune is going to win that category.
Yeah, I guess so.
But
I could see it.
Like I said, I'm not going to be mad at Spider-Man or Free Guy win. So, but I'm just basing off of what I believe is going to win. All right. So moving on to our next category. Of course, we have sound. So let me bring that up for you guys. So we have Belfast, Dune, No Time to Die, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. Jerome, your thoughts on either of these nominees that had the best sound?
Well, that's why this one I do think Dune had the best sound out of all these, because it had more action and there was, because of the type of film it is, with the obviously with the action, with the epic scale of these different factions fighting and trying to get that spice or whatever it is. And because of that, the sound has to be on point, and it definitely was. I was thinking maybe West Side Story because it's a musical. I mean, that was done well too, but specifically for sound, I would say that stood out more. And also, with the mix of, from that, how they were trying to portray the ability that he had or whatever, where he could control people, that kind of was it, I guess, telepathic ability, or and every time like when they were fighting or something, the actual sounds that they were using for the shield and all that, like that's a movie that you actually have to make sure your sound is on point, because there's definitely a lot of different ways that the sound has to be conveyed to get those emotions across, or get that action across, or just make it believable. The other films, yeah, I mean, the sound's important, but to me, it just didn't stand out. Like nothing stood out. I mean, of course, No Time to Die, James Bond film, but I don't know. I feel like Dune was more epic on that scale. But I mean, if say Dune doesn't win, I wouldn't be mad at probably No Time to Die or West Side Story. But I feel like Dune probably stands out more in that category. So I'm gonna go with Dune.
All right, so based off of what we were discussing before, of sometimes what you want to win, matching up with what you believe will win. In this case, I also believe that Dune will win. Just by virtue of the fact that with the aesthetic that we're dealing with, where you have like all of these vehicles that are unique and really getting a sense of the scale of a lot of these elements that are in play with our characters versus a lot of those vehicles that are utilized within the film. I definitely feel out of the nominees that we have here that Dune stood out the most. So in this case, I would say what I want to win, as well as what's going to win, will match up or pair up.
Good. You should definitely specify that.
Right.
Man, specify it, bro.
Oh, I did.
I want to know, because I want to know. I do want to know what you actually think should win, and then what do you think?
I did in the prior.
I want to know for the other ones. I really want to know for the major categories.
Okay. All right. We'll get into it.
There, bro.
Okay, so short film is our next category, and then getting into those, we have Take and Run, The Dress, The Long Goodbye, On My Mind, and Please Hold. And I want to bring this up a little bit because I know our lower third is covering it, but I want to make sure that it's visible there. So Jerome, what are your thoughts on short film?
So full disclosure, I haven't seen the short film, so I'm making it one of my priorities for next year to really see everything before the Oscars. But yes, I have not seen all of them, but I'm gonna just go based off of the title. I know it's terrible. Based off of the title for Please Hold, it sounds like that could be interesting, so I will go with Please Hold. But full disclaimer, I have not seen the short film, so I can't really comment on those.
And I'm going to go on full disclosure myself in that I have also not seen the shorts. So, just to be fair, I'll just move on to the next category.
Nah, you have to give one. No, dude, don't cop out. You have to pick one, man. Don't be a punani, man. Get out of here, bro. Pick something. If you try to bet in Vegas, you would lose because you didn't. You have to pick something, man. So pick something. Just pick something.
Let's see.
Just do it based on the title.
I'll go with The Long Goodbye.
All right,
but
good.
Again, full disclosure.
It doesn't matter, man. They understand. Most people haven't seen the short films. It's okay.
Because I know we have instances where, and we won't even comment on this, but we even have folks that are doing the actual show that we know y'all haven't seen all of this. But
of course, it's hard to see the short films unless unless you go see it at a film festival or you see it like AFI has a little thing. Yes, next time I will go to that AFI screening that shows all the short films before the Oscars. So I apologize, but I applaud all you short filmmakers. Well, filmmakers that made shorts. What am I saying? Short filmmakers. Filmmakers that directed these shorts that got nominated, because it's a big deal. Yes, and I commend you guys for just being nominated. It's a big deal. So great job. Well, if we move on to short film animated, I'm going to say the same thing. So, all right. So yeah, go ahead.
All right. So moving on to the next category, you have short films. Let's pull it up now. We have Affairs of the Art. We have Bestia, Box Ballet, Robin, and the Windshield Wiper. So let me bring that up so that way you guys have a picture of all here. All right, there you go. So Jerome, your thoughts on short film, even though you kind of spoiled it already.
Like I said, full disclosure, I have not seen those, so I will say it again. But I'm gonna go with the Windshield Wiper just because, based off of the title, sounds like it could be interesting. I could be totally wrong. These other movies could be better. Who knows? I'm just gonna pick that. So just pick something, man.
All right. So actually, I did see Affairs of the Art. So I mean, I'm just going to base it off of the one that I have seen, and I did enjoy it. So I will go with Affairs of the Art. And I mean, I'm just going to go with that one because of all the nominees that we have there. I typically I'll be able to compare it, but at least from that one film, or I should say short. That was the one that I had an opportunity to see. So I'll go with that one. All right. So moving on to our next category, we have production design. So let me bring that up for you guys. And so in this category, we have Dune, we have Nightmare Alley, we have The Power of the Dog, we have The Tragedy of Macbeth, as well as West Side Story. So Jerome, again, it's kind of similar to what we had with the visual effects, I feel. It's a pretty stacked category in terms of, the nominees that we have here. What are your thoughts on who will win?
For production design, you know what? Hold on. I'm going to go with, actually, I think I'm going with Dune. Because I mean, that is one thing that definitely that movie got right. I mean, the production design was amazing. I mean, like it was. I believe that was in that, those different fictional planets and just everything. I mean, obviously they made it. It's based off of the book, and they were doing a newer version of the older film. But no, I mean, it definitely looked. I really felt like I was in that area, in those locations they're talking about, and you felt like you're in the desert, and with those sandworms and the technology and all that, it just really felt like you were in that, that world that they created. So I think they did a great job with that. And obviously, I mean, I'm sure they spent the money, but. Yeah, I mean I don't know. What were the other nominees for this one specifically? Because I was off a little bit. What was?
Yeah, no worries. So we have Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, Tragedy of Macbeth, and West Side Story.
Yeah, I mean, if Dune, like I think, even though like I don't think Dune was the best movie out of all those, just specifically in that category, I would say yes, I think it's gonna win. But if that one, if say it didn't win and like West Side Story won, I wouldn't be mad because West Side Story had also great production design. So I would say that'd be like my second. But yeah, you tell me what do you think?
I would say I believe Dune will win. However, I would like to see Nightmare Alley win, just in terms of that aesthetic that they are capturing, kind of with that noir style that they're going for. It was really effective. So I would like Nightmare Alley to win, but I do believe Dune will win in this case. So. All right. Moving on, past production design, we have, and we want to save Best Picture to the end. So I want to be able to move forward to the original song for music. So let me bring that up for you guys so you guys can see it. We have Be Alive. We have, and I apologize if I'm butchering it. So Dos
Oruguitas. Just say Dos
Oruguitas, Down to Joy, No Time to Die, and Somehow You Do. So let me bring that up so that way you guys have a visual of it. All right. So Jerome, of these original songs, what do you have as your pick?
I mean, this is also hard for me too because, like I said, I didn't watch Encanto, and I'm sure that's probably a big song because Lin-Manuel Miranda, he did it, and he actually can't attend because his wife got COVID just now. It's crazy, but whatever. I like it's weird because the No Time to Die song was also pretty good, but I'm gonna go with Be Alive, King Richard, just because it's such a great story, it's inspirational, and that song it's inspirational too. But if that doesn't win and it goes to like No Time to Die or probably, I haven't heard the Encanto song, so I can't really judge, but I have a feeling if that one doesn't win, then it might be those other two. But I I don't know, but I just recently saw Belfast, and I mean the Van Morrison, he's big too. So this one I think could be up in the air. Who knows? But I'm gonna go Be Alive because I like King Richard the best out of all of them. So and Beyonce, I think she deserves. She's been nominated a few times for Oscars for doing best song or at least being part of it. So you tell me what you think.
I believe that Be Alive is going to win. However, I will say I hope, and again, I am butchering again, which is horrible because I guess I'm a little rusty on my Spanish, but Dos Ogritas. I would say that one because I did enjoy that film Encanto. So and it had some catchy songs in there. So I'm gonna go with that one. I hope that one wins, but I believe that Be Alive will take the Oscar. All right, so moving on to our next category, we of course have still sticking into that musical realm. We have Best Original Score. So let me show you the nominees that we have here. Of course, we have Don't Look Up, score for Don't Look Up, for Dune, for Encanto, Parallel Mothers, as well as Power of the Dog. Jerome, with the selections that we have here, I think I already have an idea, or if I recall, which one you're going to select. But go ahead. What are your thoughts?
I wonder. No, actually, might be wrong. I think you're going to be wrong this time, but we'll see. It's funny. I haven't seen Encanto or Parallel Mothers, so it's hard. I mean, I'm not giving it completely a fair shot, but I will say, out of all the films that are nominated, even though I like Don't Look Up and Dune way better than The Power of the Dog, and I mean that's another conversation. I will say that The Power of the Dog, they had that simple score, score throughout, and I do remember it. It is memorable, and I feel that was one of the. I will say that's one of the highlights of that film that actually made it feel like, okay, I get the feeling of being in this this world back in the day as in the West or with ranchers and just that old West feeling, but also it was really simple and it was really it did what it was supposed to do. And it kind of built on it later, but just that simple guitar string. And also I will say, because it didn't sound like just a straight up, recycled acoustic guitar score that I've heard a lot of times. I don't know. It just felt a little bit refreshing using that, just having that simple type of score for that film. So I'll go with The Power of the Dog. But I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. Like I don't really remember the scores in some of the other films as much. I mean, of course, I love Hans Zimmer, and he's my favorite composer. But I think The Power of the Dog might take it this time. So just because it's actually I remember it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. So again, I'm gonna go to what I believe is gonna win versus what I would like to win. I would like Encanto to win. However, I do believe that that Dune will win in this case. I just feel like in terms of I like, as I said, I enjoyed Encanto a great deal, but there you still have that element of creating that that feel of the world, as you were mentioning before. And so I do believe that Dune will win. And I mean, you can't go wrong with Hans Zimmer. However, it would be awesome to see Encanto win. So I hopefully Encanto will win, but I believe that Dune in this case will take the Oscar. All right. Any last thoughts before we move on to?
That'd be great. Honestly, I think Hans Zimmer should have won several times for other films. So I don't know, for this film, when he's had way better scores, I don't think he won for any of the Dark Knight. Well, he maybe won for the Dark Knight. He might have, but I thought the Dark Knight Rises had an amazing score. I don't think he. So anyway, I guess I have to digress because this is just shows like you could have your best work, not even get nominated or whatever. I think, or some of your best work, and then I don't even remember the Dune score. I'm just being honest. So anyway, but I love Hans Zimmer though. So I'm not saying it was bad, but it's just you know,
No, I hear you. I hear you. So, all
Dark
right.
Knight Rises had a really dope score, and I don't think that got nominated. So, or I don't think I definitely didn't win.
All
Anyway,
right.
go ahead.
Cool. So moving on to makeup and hairstyling. So let's go down the nominees. So we have Coming to America. We have Cruella, Dune, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, as well as House of Gucci. So with these, the selection of these five films, and of course the artists that are behind bringing, the makeup and hairstyling to life for each of these films, Jerome, what would be your pick here?
It's funny. It's like this. This is also me basing it off of what I've seen. I haven't seen Cruella or The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which I heard of Cruella. I mean, I heard are really great. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna check them out.
Yeah, Cruella was actually better than I expected it would be. But go ahead.
So that's what I'm saying. And I have a feeling that probably has a good chance of winning. But out of the ones that I saw, like I think House of Gucci, they did a really good job with the makeup and hair, hairstyling and makeup. So, and obviously since that movie got, I mean, people. I know some of Lady Gaga's fans got mad that she didn't even get nominated, which I don't think she really. She didn't have to. She could have, but to me, it wasn't like, oh, you had to get nominated. But she did a pretty good job. But regardless of the performances, the look. I mean, how they transformed Jared Leto. Al Pacino's. His styling and everything. I mean, Jeremy Irons, everybody in that film. I mean, it's about the Gucci family. They're like fashion royalty, I guess you could say. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that film. I'm gonna go with House of Gucci.
All right, cool. And I absolutely, agree with your selection of picking House of Gucci. I believe that they will take the Oscar. However, the one that I would like to see get it is Dune, actually, in this case, and that's only being for the fact that in thinking of what they did with Skarsgård, with his villainous character, and all the effects that went into creating that character, and some of the others that we see in that film. It's quite unique what they did in terms of how they really changed how we perceive those characters, and providing a feel of what those characters are about, because I feel like a good deal of what the way those characters look speak to the characters themselves and what they represent. So like just that idea of, I feel like with Skarsgård's character, that idea of like gluttony, where you just have that character that's just like a mass, versus what you have in a House of Gucci. You still have that component, like you were saying with Jared Leto, of what they were able to do there, but also being able to capture that era too. So I mean, I get your choice there. However,
you got to look at hairstyling too. That's why.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That era, all of that. So I do foresee that they will win, but it'll be cool to see Dune win in this case, with what they were able to kind of.
I thought you were going to say Cruella or something. I thought you were going to say Cruella.
I have Cruella. I do have Cruella. No, I do have. They do, but I do have Cruella in another category, which we will get to. So
okay.
All right. So moving on to the next category, we have Best International Feature Film. So let me bring that up for you guys. We have Drive My Car, Flee, The Hand of God, Nana Ayak in the Classroom, The Worst Person in the World. All right. So Jerome, with those options that we have there, those nominees, talk to me. What is your choice?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I've only seen one of these films, and this isn't easy. I would put money on this. This is the easiest category. When your film is also nominated for Best Picture and International Feature Film, you're going to, if you don't win Best Picture, or even if you did, you're going to win International Feature Film. Yeah, there's no way. I would put 1,000. Well, I would put money on Drive My Car just because of that. Like you could be, you don't have to be a genius to figure this category out. Now those other movies could be really great. I'm not saying, and I do want to watch them because I do like watching different types of films. But Drive My Car. Now, do I think Drive My Car is the best film out of those? I have no idea because I haven't seen those other films. I thought Driving My Car was all right. It was okay. But it's definitely going to win. Like, and I've only seen that movie out of those, so I guess I'm gonna have to say that. So Drive My Car.
Okay, all right. So I did see Drive My Car. Also saw Flee as well. So um, I picture that Drive My Car. Trend wise, that's a good a good um, basis to go on in terms of like what we've seen happen in the past trend wise. However, it would be cool to see Flea win, but I would say
What's
that
that movie about anyway? What's Flea about anyway? Is it?
so in terms of like the aesthetic that they have with like animation and talking about
Oh, I got you. Okay,
yeah. So like they,
that's
they
cool.
have a whole other aesthetic that's really cool. So in terms of how they tell that story versus what you would have kind of as a run of the mill story, of just having it just be a standard live action story versus having that animated component. So I would go with Flea. It'd be cool to see Flea win. However, I do believe that Drive My Car will take the Oscar.
I don't
So
think there has ever been. I mean, I could look back and you could look. We could do the homework on this. I don't think there's ever been a movie that's been nominated for Best Picture and International Feature Film that has lost in the International Feature Film
and one
category.
of the other.
Regardless if it wins or not, like because just think about it. How are you nominated for best? If your movie's nominated for Best Picture, also like how are you not the best one out of it? Like it just doesn't even make sense to me how like those other ones are for. I feel like they're just in for filler. Because I mean, like then it's almost like the Oscars saying that they don't even make any sense with their nominations. Because like, how are you going to say that movie's also the best picture, but then it doesn't win? It like doesn't even make sense. So, but I know Parasite. What was it? Parasite, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. There's been a few of them, but Parasite was like the exception that actually won Best Picture that year. But you go back if you look back. I haven't checked everything, but I have a good feeling that pretty much every time this happens, the international feature film it always goes to the one that was nominated for Best Picture because I mean it would just go against what they're saying is the best picture, but doesn't mean it's true. But just based on how they set it up. But yeah, let's go to the next category.
Indeed. So next up we have film editing. Just to go into the nominees, we have Don't Look Up, Dune, King Richard, Power of the Dog, and Tick Tick Boom. So for these films, and again, the talented artists that we have that are being nominated for each of these films in this category, Jerome, what will be your pick?
Yeah. Oops. I would say I think I went with this one was a little bit at first I was kind of like, which one really stood out for me? I was trying to look at it down here. But I'm probably going with Tick Tick Boom. Just because I have the feeling, and like I'm not sure which one's really going to win. I mean, because it can go either way, but I mean, based on nominations, sometimes it'll go for that category might win, but whoever has like the most nominations, sometimes that's the movie that wins. The reason I'll say Tick Tick Boom is just because I felt like I did notice like they did a good job of like kind of going back and forth from what was going on in the actual, the story of the main character's life, and then cutting back to his play, and like they intertwined that really well. And I was like, okay, when it comes to just editing, I could see that being, I could see that standing out a little bit more, or just being a little more memorable. The other films, I feel like it was more, I don't know, nothing really stood out too much for me, even though, they're obviously edited well and paced well. But I think I'm probably going to go with that one. The one that I think will win, I have to see the nominees again because I was like, can you put it up one more time?
Yeah, so we have Don't Look Up, we have Dune, King Richard, Power of the Dog, and Tick Tick Boom.
Yeah, obviously, if Don't Look Up or King Richard wins, I would be happy also. But I'm not gonna really stress that like the editing in those films was so significant that it's like the best editing, But I mean, I feel like none of them really have any stand. I mean, even Dune is pretty good too, but it's like nothing standing out like like in previous years, like with Memento or Tenet or or what is it like, or Fight Club or something like that, or even I remember The Departed, like how that was done. You can kind of tell. You could be like, all right, wow, the story is really um, uh, accentuated with the editing and the theme, like the pacing, like you really can be like, oh, okay, visually, this is really an interesting way to edit this film. So I'm just gonna say Tick Tick Boom because of how I thought it was a good job. Like I thought it was a good job how they went back and forth from the play and from the play he's performing and the actual story. But I don't know, that's the only one that really stands out for me in that category. But if that one doesn't win, I wouldn't be mad if King Richard or Don't Look Up wins. But this category, I mean, who knows? But I'm just saying Tick Tick Boom.
Okay, all right. So for me, I guess that the one that I would pick would be Tick Tick Boom. That's the one that I feel deserves it in this case. For similar reason of what you said in terms of capturing kind of that musical capturing that musical quality of things really going at a at a steady pace, and that's not a an easy thing to be able to capture of showing that aesthetic of the musical itself, and then kind of bring those musical components to the character's life too, and what they're going through over the course of that story. So that's who I would like to win. However, I picture that they will win. So I think it'll actually come together that the one that I would like to win in this case will actually win. But I will say, I wouldn't be mad if or disappointed if King Richard won. And that's only because, like, in thinking of just being able to do a film that deals with sports, that's not an easy thing to capture and to make interesting, and especially if it's not a sport that you particularly play, and to still kind of tell that story and still make it compelling is not an easy thing to accomplish. So I'll always, a lot of times, give credit to those that are telling a story that is, in the world of sports. So I wouldn't be disappointed if King Richard won. However, I do believe in this case that Tick Tick Boom will win. All right. Moving on to our next category. As I said, we just went through film editing. Next up, we have best short subject doc. So we have Audible, we have Lead My Home, The Queen of Basketball, 3 Songs of Benazir, as well as When We Were Bullies. So Jerome, of these shorts here, which one do you got?
Ah, man, this is the third time I have to say this. Full disclosure, I haven't seen any of these short documentaries. I need to see these short films. I'm going to make sure next year I watch them all. But yeah, I'm going to just go with The Queen of Basketball because it sounds like it could be a really interesting short, but I mean, I could be totally wrong because I haven't seen the other films. So I really feel like I'm giving this category also an unfair assessment, but I will go with The Queen of Basketball.
And that's actually the only one that I saw, full disclosure, in this category. So I'm also going to go with that. And that's also because I love basketball. I'm going to be a little biased here. I love the sport.
But that's the only one you saw in that category, saying, oh, okay.
That's the only one I saw in that category. But yeah, but even with that being said, without comparing it unfairly, not being able to compare it to the others, it was, an awesome short. And again, like I said, I'm a little biased because I like basketball. So, moving on to our next category. As I said, we just had a short subject documentary. Next up, we have a feature documentary. So let me bring up the nominees for that. We have Ascension, Attica, Flee, Summer of Soul. Or I'll read the whole thing: Summer of Soul, or When the Revolution Could Not Be Televised, and Writing with Fire. So Jerome, of these, what do you have as the
Man,
winner taking home that
it's like I was supposed. I'm so mad because I've been wanting to see the Questlove's doc, and I still didn't watch it yet. But I've heard so many great reviews about it, and he's been winning a lot of stuff anyway for it. So I really think he's gonna win for this. So I'm gonna go for Summer of Soul. But it's funny, I see has your other film on there, Flea. So wow, I got nominated twice though, right? So yeah, the other cat. I mean, like I said, I'm finishing up a documentary right now, so it's like I'm trying to watch as many as I can too. Recently, but yeah, I feel bad I haven't seen this one, but I think Questlove will take it because that's like some really, unique footage from that concert that I can't believe it wasn't released or people didn't really see it. So like for him to do that and like curate that, like, and you could tell he has like a encyclopedic like music memory kind of. So he's for him to curate that and make a documentary out of that, like I think is pretty impressive for that time period too. So, but the thing is, like, I haven't seen the other one, so it's really not that fair. But just off of also the accolades and the reviews and the momentum he has for that film, I still think he's going to probably win for that. I hope he does.
Okay, all right. So I've heard a lot of great things about Summer of Soul. However, out of that category, the only one I've seen is Flea. So I'm gonna go with Flea winning the Oscar for this category. All right. So moving on to our next category, we have directing. So let me bring up the list of filmmakers that we have there in that case. We have Belfast. We have Kenneth Branagh for Belfast. We have, and again, I apologize, I'm butchering your name, Rizuki Hamaguchi for Drive My Car. Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza. Jane Campion for The Power of the Dog. And, of course, Steven Spielberg for West Side Story. Jerome, your pick.
Oh man, I'm gonna be fully. I'm gonna really give full disclosure. I'm really disappointed in this category this year. I mean, I know people probably disagree with me, but I don't care. I've seen all the films that were nominated. Out of all of them, I really think like a few of these people shouldn't even be nominated. That's just my opinion. So based on what is actually what you have to pick from, I would say I would rather see Steven Spielberg win because West Side Story, out of all these films, I think that was the best film out of all of them nominated. And he did a great job. And that was his first musical, so it's amazing. But I know how the game is played. And because Jane Campion has been getting all this momentum or whatever, she's probably going to win because she won the DGA award. She won all these other awards. She's probably going to win for The Power of the Dog, which I really don't think she should. I don't even think she should have got nominated for that. But I hope Steven Spielberg wins, but I know I'm probably going to be. So I will say, I always have that caveat. I hope Steven Spielberg wins for that because he did a great job and it's better than all those other movies. But I think Jane Campion is going to take it home. But I don't think she deserves it. But that's my opinion.
Wow. Okay. All right. So for me, I have had a chance to see these films. I'm actually going to go with Belfast because I do enjoy Kenneth Branagh's work and his eye for directing. I believe that Spielberg actually will take the Oscar for this for West Side Story.
Wow.
However, I would like to see Kenneth Branagh win in this case. So
you think so? Wow, I thought you were going to say Jane Campion. I mean, she won the DGA. Like, it's not that many times where if you win the DGA award, you don't win. I mean, it's sometimes, but wow.
I mean, Power of the Dog. Yeah, that film was good as well. However, I would like to see as I said, I'm a fan of Kenneth Branagh and his work as a filmmaker. So it was.
Yeah, he did. His Belfast was decent. I thought that was decent, but no, I don't think he should win for that.
But I believe in this case that Steven Spielberg will win.
Hey, if he wins, I will be happy because he deserves it more than all those other people. But I'm just being real, man. Just keeping it 100.
And that's why it's opinions. But
not only just opinion though, but like if you just look at it depends on what you like, but story, look at plot. At least Belfast has there's a story there. There's some interesting stuff going. Some of the other films I'm kind of like, I mean, they're all right, but yeah, I mean, I can go in further detail, but that's not what this show is about.
All right, so let's move on to our next category. As I said, each of our individual opinions, but that's why we're here. So that way,
I think it's payola too. I think they have good agents and managers too. I think that's what it is. Good publicists, agents, and managers. Good job, agents. Very good.
Okay. All right. So moving on to costume design, bringing up the categories that we have there. We have Cruella. We have Siriano. We have Dune, Nightmare Alley, as well as West Side Story. So Jerome, here in costume design, I have one that's like a no-brainer, but maybe you had someone else. So what are your thoughts?
Oh, my bad. I know what you were going to say. You're going to say Cruella this time because that's what you were saying. Another category, and I think that's the only other one she was nominated. That movie was nominated. Sorry to get my. So I had it written. Okay, well, what is it? Can you? Just bring it up.
Yeah, so I'll give you a second. So
it's like all out over the place when I have it written here.
No, you're good. So we have Cruella, Siriano, Dune, Nightmare Alley.
Oh yeah, okay. This one's easy. This one's easy for me. West Side Story. West Side Story. I think they did an amazing job. I mean, you just watch that film. I mean, the from the dresses, the suits, just the time period. Spielberg really did a good job, and of course it's a remake, but they updated stuff and made it a lot more irrelevant, and also they didn't doubt. They made like how they made like the Puerto Ricans. They made it more 3-dimensional, and it wasn't like just some stereotypical BS. So, I think for that time period, just how the look of everything, and also, I mean, of course, with the costume design had to be on point for the dance numbers, the different scenes and the choreography to work, and it was choreographed so well. And I mean, with the other films, I'm not saying that they don't have any other. I mean, I haven't seen that other. Was it Serrano? I haven't seen that film.
Serrano, yeah.
So I can't really judge. I mean, that one probably has a good shot too, but. Out of all of them, I think West Side Story probably stands out the most, and I think it'll definitely win for that. So I'm going with West Side Story.
Okay, so spoiler alert. I actually went with Cruella, and the reason being, and Jerome, I know you haven't seen it, but like the whole story, it like centers around like the whole idea of fashion, and just that kind of that one-upsmanship of the characters that we have in the story. And the styles that they're able to come with, the unique styles and looks that they're able to develop and create. So and they're quite unique in how the flair that they bring to it in terms of showing that. So in this case, I want Cruella to win, and I believe it will win for this category. I understand what you're saying about West Side Story and what it brings to the table of that period, what have you. But yes, Cruella should win, and I believe it will win for this case.
I mean, based on what you're saying, it sounds like that would be also another good contender. But I mean, some of these things are up in the air because sometimes if you get nominated more, you don't. Maybe don't win in certain categories, but then they win in other categories. I mean, West Side Story has more nominations, but hey, you never know. And I think it's ranked choice voting too. So, but I wonder for the different categories, like the below the line categories, how much there's a discrepancy or in what people pick. So it'd be funny to see what the actual tally is for those. But yeah, I wouldn't be mad if that movie wins for it because based on what you're saying, it sounds like. It definitely should be a contender, so we'll see.
All right, so moving on to cinematography, one of my favorite categories. Going through the nominees that we have here, we have Dune, Nightmare Alley, Power the Dog, Tragedy of Macbeth, as well as West Side Story. I feel like from here on out, many of the categories or to say the winners that we have in this case, Jerome, will probably agree on, but maybe not. So I will punt it over to you.
I mean, this one is I was a little bit torn because the cinematography is good for, it was good for all of the films. I haven't seen Tragedy of Macbeth, so I can't comment on that one. And Janusz Kaminski, he's a great cinematographer. I mean, come on, he's done most of Spielberg's like recent films, and ever since like Minority Report. I think that was when, or maybe he might have started right before then. But I think he's one of the OGs. He's like one of the goats of cinematography. But I'm gonna go with Dune though, just because like the specific look of that film is very. I mean, it was very well done. Like those are some of the highlights of that film. Like really, the cinematography, the production design, the sound, the visual effects. You know, of course, the performances and everything. I mean, I like that film for the most part. But I really like you really got the sense of being in that world and the colors that they use that Denis Villeneuve that he used. I mean, he obviously had to communicate that with his cinematographer Greg Fraser or Greig Fraser. I might be saying it wrong. I apologize. But definitely no, that film to me, that the cinematography definitely stood out. And the other films, yes, I mean Nightmare Alley there was some, for that time period, and obviously Guillermo del Toro, like he's really good at giving you that feel. But to me, it didn't really stand out as much as Dunes, and also with Power of the Dog, like I mean it looked beautiful too. But I'm also thinking about the whole film too, and how it relates to the film and how it supports the story, and also how good the story actually is for it to support, or is it just a cinematographer just doing whatever? Just there's. I mean, because I feel like if you leave the bar, if you make the bar so low, just like cinematography is great and that's it. It's like there's a lot of movies that have great cinematography or decent cinematography, but your story also has to be good too. So I'm looking also how's the cinematography helping to tell the story and to tell the to give it a style, give it a unique style that actually makes the film stand out for what it's, for what the director actually wanted the audience to feel. So I'm going with Dune.
Okay, I'm also gonna go with Dune as well, and the only reason being is I believe it's going to win, and I want it to win. Because in thinking of Dune, one thing that comes to mind just in to encompass one word is scope. And so much of what transpires or what you see in that film gives you a sense of scope. I was talking about a lot of the vehicles or I guess you could just say vehicles that were used in order to transport our characters from throughout the spaces that they inhabit, and just to see the scope of how large these vehicles are in comparison to the people, or even some of the creatures, how large the creatures are in comparison, or just the landscape, how vast the landscapes are, and to be able to capture that. It was quite astonishing. So I'm in this case I'll also go with Dune as well. It's the one that I would like to win, and it's the one that I will. And
you said you saw that on HBO. You didn't see it in the theater, so that's good that you actually still got that feeling, because I saw it in theater. So I'm like, that is it definitely isn't.
And on top, well, I did see it on HBO after the fact. However, I did see it on the largest screen that you could potentially see in a home. So you still get a sense of that scope and that size too. Mind you, maybe not on the level of what you would have at like an IMAX theater, but still in relation to just getting a sense of the scope and that comparison between those two elements of your characters and their environment in that landscape. So,
and that's a movie to me. Like I said, that's a movie that actually it makes a difference. Like if you see it in the theater, and there's certain films that are made for movie theaters that when you see it on the big screen, you're like, all right, wow, I can appreciate what they were doing. Like that's why with a lot of these Christopher Nolan films, I'm just like, he makes them specifically for IMAX. So it's like you could tell Denis Villeneuve, I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, you could tell he had that sense of scope and scale and that epic, he wanted to give that epic feel. And I think he did achieve that and the cinematography is a key component. So yeah, I think it'll win.
All right, cool. So next up we have animated feature. Let me bring that up now. We have Encanto. We have Flea, Luca, the Mitchells versus the Machines, and Raya and the Last Dragon. So Jerome, your thoughts on the nominees as well as who you believe will win in this case.
Wow, I'm just noticing now, man. I'm like, wow, that Flea movie. I think now I'm starting to think Flea's probably gonna win just because it got nominated. So that movie must have really been good. Wow, I really need to see that now. I'm gonna give a full disclosure. I have not seen the animated films, but I mean, I don't know. I've heard a lot of good things about Encanto, Raya, and The Last Dragon, and my sister, she just was watching The Mitchells versus the Machines. I don't know about Luca, but yeah, I mean, wow, Flea got nominated 3 times. I'm gonna go with Encanto because it sounds like that was like a really fun one that a lot of people liked, and I mean, Pixar. I mean, that was Pixar, right? That was Disney. I think it was Pixar, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I'll confirm that. But
you should double check. But
yeah.
Pixar usually is pretty consistent. I mean, if that's the case, I know Raya and the Last Dragon. That's Pixar. But yeah, this would be interesting because since Flea was nominated 3 times, I mean, what best? What is it? International feature, documentary feature, and animated. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty unique. I think I don't know how many times that's happened. So I would go with Encanto, but I guess I wouldn't be mad if Flea won just because it is able to be nominated all 3 different categories. That's pretty cool. So you tell me what you think, man. But that's my full disclosure. Yeah, I'm guessing on this one.
Well, I've seen Flea and I've seen Encanto, so I would say between those, I would say it's a toss-up. Honestly, like it's between Encanto and Flea. Just based on trend. I know you were talking about trends before. A lot of times when we have these award shows and it's like such a close race, a lot of times they'll split up the award. So especially when we're talking about Best Picture, they'll split up, who's winning Best Director versus who wins Best Picture. You'll see a similar thing happen, among the features as well. So I believe Encanto is going to take the Oscar in this case, just because I believe Flea will take the Oscar in another. So, yes, and this for this category, I believe Encanto is going to win.
That's true.
Because I believe Flea will win it.
Probably documentary.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to win. It's not going to win international feature. It definitely won't. But yeah.
So. But all right, so moving on to our next category. As I said, we just went over animated feature film. Now we are going to get into our performance categories. So let me bring those up now for you guys. And I wanted to be able to bring up the selections that we have there. So first, I want to bring up actresses in a supporting role. So let me bring those up now. So we have Ariana DeBose, of course, for West Side Story. Next up, we have Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughter. Of course, we have Kirsten Dunst for Power of the Dog. And we have Anjanae Ellis for King Richard. So Jerome, with the talented actors that we have here in the supporting role, supporting actress role, if you will, what would be or who would be your pick? And I feel it's pretty loaded.
I think this is a lock. I think this category.
Oh, and also I apologize as well. We also have Judi Dench for Belfast that I wanted to include in there as well. So apologies for that. But yeah, so what of those actresses, who would be your pick?
That is true. I have not seen The Lost Daughter, so I'm not. That's the one I haven't seen. I can't really judge based on that. But I think it's pretty much a lock. I think Ariana DeBose is going to win this. She's won a lot of the other awards. She won the SAG award. Rita Moreno won the award playing this character in the original. So it would be pretty amazing. And it's also like amazing. I mean, she's making history too. So I think she's going to win. I mean, Anjanae Ellis was good in King Richard, and Judi Dench was pretty good in Belfast. But I mean, Kirsten Dunst was all right. She was pretty good in that movie too. But like, none of those performances stood out for me compared to Ariana DeBose. Because Ariana, like, if you watch that movie, she really steals the show. Because I mean, she's like the whole idea also of them speaking Spanish a lot of times, and obviously getting that accent to a certain point, even though she is, she's Afro-Latina. And like how they didn't have the subtitles, it was like a really specific accent, that Puerto Rican accent for that time too. And then also to sing and dance, and then, the choreography, and you feel the emotion, and it's like, how they cast her in that role because it wasn't Afro Latina, originally. So I thought she was amazing, did a great job, and I think she's gonna win it. So I'm going with Ariana DeBose.
Sorry about that. Slight technical difficulty.
You're coming in out.
But for me, I'm gonna go with Ingenue Ellis, and the reason being, I've been following, her career and the characters that she's played, and a lot of people forget, like she just recently was in what was it?
Lovecraft Country.
Lovecraft Country, and she was awesome in that. I'm a huge fan of her work. So I would say I want her to win, but I believe that Ariana is going to win just momentum wise. Again, going back to those trends of what you see with award shows, that she just seems to have a great deal of momentum going into this award show. So I believe she will take home the Oscar. However, I would love to see Ellis win for her role in King Richard. So for me, all right. So moving on to our next category. We have actresses in a lead role. So let me pull them up. See if I can get them up here. Here we go. All right. So we have Jessica Chastain in The Eyes of Tammy Faye. We have Nicole Kidman for being the Ricardos. Of course, we have Kristen Stewart for Spencer. We have Penelope Cruz for Parallel Mothers. And last but not least, we have Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter. So, Jerome, of the actresses that we have here, who do you have?
Man, that's why there was 2 more movies I was trying to at least watch before the show. The Eyes of Tammy Faye and Being the Ricardos. I still have to see those, and I'm going to probably see them right after this. Well, I don't know how much time I have before the show. But, man, I think Jessica Chastain, based off of, like, the character and like, the trailer and everything, like, and that story, I think she's probably going to win. And but I think it's probably between her and Nicole Kidman and Being the Ricardos, because, I was looking at the trailer for that, too, and I was just like, man, she really looks like Lucille Ball. And the fact that they're, that they made a movie about that actress and that time period and made it serious too, like, I think is amazing, and it looks like they really brought it to life, and she brought that role to life. So I know Kristen Stewart was playing Princess Di and Spencer, and she looks good in that too, so, like, it's hard to judge that. These are all great actresses, Penelope Cruz, Olivia Colman. I haven't seen those films, so I can't really judge, but I really think it's between Jessica Chastain and Nicole Kidman. But I think Jessica Chastain's going to take it, so I'm going to go with her.
All right, cool. So for me, I guess for me, I'm going to go with Jessica Chastain. I'm a big fan of her work and what she brings to a role. And out of those, the only 2 that I saw were The Eyes of Tammy Faye and Being the Ricardos. I do believe, from what you were saying, that Nicole Kidman will win in this case, but I would like to see Jessica Chastain win for her role and what she brought, to that part. I feel like if you have a situation where even as recognizable of a face, as Jessica has, if you are able to disappear into a role and you don't really think about the actor, and you think more about that character, and what the character is that you're seeing on the screen, then that's really saying something. A lot of times, we have some great actors out there, but because for in one shape or another, you can still kind of see that actor versus seeing the character that they are portraying. So I'm going to go with Jessica Chastain versus Nicole Kidman in this case. And Nicole Kidman was great, in that role, but I'm still going to have to give the nod to Jessica for her role. All right, so making our way down the line. Next up, of course, we have Best Supporting Actor. So let me bring those folks up. See if I can get them up here. All right, so Best Supporting Actor, we have Troy Kotzer for Coda. Next up, we have Cody Smith McPhee for The Power of the Dog. We, of course, have J.K. Simmons for Being the Ricardos. And we have Jesse Plemons for Power of the Dog. All right. So, and also, last but not least, I apologize,
yeah.
Sarah Hines for Belfast as well. So, Jerome, with all the talented actors that we have here in this category, who did you have? I know I have an idea of who will win in this circumstance and who I would like to win, but I want to see if it matches up with who you're seeing. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm only disclaimer. I haven't. I mean, I know J.K. Simmons is a great actor, and he's already won the Academy Award, so it's not surprising that he got nominated again. But I haven't seen Being the Ricardo, so I can't really judge his performance. But I've seen the other films. The only one that stood out, I mean, even though Syrian Hines, he was good in Belfast, and I was remembering him in like Miami Vice and some other films. I was like, yeah, man, wow, he really switched it up. So that he did a good job. But I think Troy Kotzer, he did the best. I mean, the fact that out of everyone in Coda, of course, like the other actors and actresses are pretty good, but like he really stood out as like the father. Just it really says something when most of your main characters in the film are deaf and they're doing American Sign ASL, but like you really can feel the emotion and of what they're portraying and what they're communicating. So he really stood out in the whole family for his role and like just his expressions. Because like I said, it's I mean, you want to talk about acting being nonverbal, and it's like your reaction and your facial expressions and how you say stuff, all that. Like if you're deaf, you really have to portray that with your facial expressions and I mean, of course he's deaf in real life, but regardless, it doesn't matter. Like the little things, the reaction that he has to his daughter, that would be either serious or would be funny. Like it was spot on. Like I mean, of course, that's also directing and the writing and like how everything's put together. But for me to for me to laugh at something that he's doing in reaction to his daughter, like it was just done. Like it worked. It was it's almost like watching a foreign film where it's like you don't know the language, but it's like if you can see it in the face and you can see it in the person's face and their reactions, their body, how they're moving, everything that they're doing, you're still going to get the joke. You're still going to get that something's funny or whatever. I mean, obviously you might have to read the subtitles, but like, I mean, it's the same thing watching this film. It's like, I don't know sign language, but I had to have you have subtitles on. You're like, they pull it off. Like all those actors, they pulled it off. But, and that movie was so well done and it was so compelling, and the reason it was because you have actors like Troy Kotzer and like and the rest of the family, the people playing the roles in other for her family, that made it so believable. So I really think he should win. I think I want him to win. I think he should win. Out of the other people nominated, I mean, if he didn't win for some reason, which I doubt it, I think he's gonna win. I guess I would go with Syrian Hines as a backup, but because I thought he did a good job as a grandfather. But really, Troy Kotzer, I think it's kind of a lock for him. I think he's definitely going to take it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I had a chance to see Coda as well, and not only for the fact that the film is awesome, and again it talking about what I was explaining before of having a film that talks about the adversity that our family is going through, the characters are going through in order to reach that goal. It has a lot of you relate to it if you're an actor, if you're in any form of aspiration, whether you're an actor, whether you're an athlete, anything in which there's something that you are seeking to strive to get to, this film provides that inspiration to you. Not just this film, King Richard's that way as well. So, and then on top of that too, aside from the fact, which is awesome, when it comes to this film, Troy has a great deal of momentum, going into the show with the other award shows as well, of his work being recognized. So I do believe he's pretty much a lock for winning this award, and I believe that he should win this award because out of the selection of actors that we have here, I'm a fan of many of the actors here. Hines, he's played terrific villains. I love, the villains that he has played. He's even though he's demonstrated that, he could switch it up. I love when he is in those villainous roles. Jesse Plemons, I'm a fan of his work too. And I believe that he'll be back, for many years to come, and for other roles that he does. I know you say you haven't seen it yet, but he's in the film Antlers, which, of course, that I love that film. J.K. Simmons, of course, what can you not say about J.K. Simmons? J.K. Simmons is awesome. Cody as well. Cody will be back. He's a talented,
maybe Nightcrawler.
Yeah, but I still have Troy winning it in this category. All right, so pushing ahead, we have actor in a leading role. So let me bring those up. Give me 1 second. All right, so for our leading actor Oscar, we have Andrew Garfield for Tick, Tick, Boom. We have Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog. We have Will Smith, of course, for King Richard. We have Javier Bardem for Being the Ricardos. And last but not least, we, of course, have Denzel Washington for The Tragedy of Macbeth. Jerome, who do you got, man?
This is an obvious one for me, but I will, full disclaimer, like I haven't seen The Tragedy of Macbeth. I wanted to see it before today, and I haven't seen Being the Ricardos, even though I think they have great performance. I've heard that they're great in those films. Javier Bardem and Denzel Washington. I've seen the other films, but come on, I've said this before, and y'all know who I'm going to pick. I mean, if Will Smith does not win this year, man, there should be protests for the damn Academy Awards because the dude was amazing. And I'm not just saying it because I love the movie and I like Will Smith because he's been nominated before. I mean, come on, remember he was nominated for Ali, he was nominated for The Pursuit of Happiness, and he did a great job in those films. I thought he was going to win. Possibly he would have won in The Pursuit of Happiness, but I mean, he was going up against Denzel in Training Day, so it was kind of hard. It's kind of like a rematch. But when I saw King Richard, and I know some people were criticizing his accent and everything in the trailer. I mean, people are just stupid, I think, online. But you watch the movie, I mean, it's a really an amazing performance, and you can tell that he really put his all into this. And he studied Richard Williams, they put stuff in this movie that, like I was saying before, that actually happened in that was on like actual interviews or at least interviews, and he took that as inspiration before this movie was even made, and then he made sure that was in it, and how he emulated or how he just put his own stamp on it really was memorable. It was just really a great character study and inspirational story, but also he makes the film. I mean, of course, the family does, and the daughters. Yes, it's the Williams sisters' story, but the whole it's not a film focusing on their whole life. It's about their father's impact on their lives and how he really pushed them and to be the great tennis players they are, and he would stop at nothing. And it's really about this lion father, protecting his cubs at whatever cost, no matter how stupid he might look, or people might call him names, or people might look at him like he's crazy. It doesn't matter. He just has this ridiculously crazy vision of success, and he wouldn't let anything stop him. And it's so inspirational to see that. But Will Smith was able to really portray that and play that character so well, and just make you believe it. And it was everything from, the emotions, the facial expressions, how he spoke. And it's a really different role for him, too. He's never played, I mean, like I said, he's played other really great serious roles, but this was totally different for him. And I don't feel like he was just imitating the guy. And now let's be fair. Yes, I don't think most people probably know Richard Williams or like how he sounds and everything. I mean, you would really have to be into sports or I mean, I guess tennis. I mean, I didn't know. But yeah, as opposed to like Muhammad Ali. Like Muhammad Ali was like well known. So it's like I know some of the criticism he received, even though I think it's kind of stupid. It was like, oh, he's just imitating him, but I felt like he was a good Ali too. But this time you're not gonna get. I don't think there's that much pushback regarding that because you're not really, like Richard Williams isn't as well known, but now he will be even more because of this performance. And also, he's been winning all the awards. I mean, he won the SAG award. He won the BAFTA. I mean, like I said, if the Oscars do not give him his the award that he deserves this time, I don't know what to say. I mean, there's all I can say is that there's like payola going on because, I mean, the dude, he killed it. And like I said, if his performance wasn't strong like this, the movie wouldn't work. It really relies on his performance. And I mean, of course, the supporting cast, they were great too, and the story and all that. But if his performance wasn't tight, if it wasn't believable, if he didn't really study this, or if he didn't really put his all into it, it wouldn't work. And that's why the movie works, specifically because of his performance. So Will Smith, I think he's going to win this. He deserves to win it. I think it's going to be a lock. It better be. And he deserves it.
I was gonna say, I agree with you. Of the actors that we have here, it would be awesome to see Andrew Garfield win. However, I've seen Tick, Tick, Boom. He's great in that role. I would love to see Denzel Washington win. If I were able to pick, 1A and 1B, if you will, I would love to see, Will Smith win, and I believe he will win. Again, talking about trends of that momentum, that we've been seeing. It just seems like, this is his year. A lot of times you have actors, actresses, that is their year, and it definitely seems to be his this year. So, I have him taking the award, and again, to match up with that, I would like to see him win that award because he is, as you said, amazing in that role. So last but not least, just wrapping this up as we go down into Best Picture. So let me bring that up for you guys. I know we said we would save Best Picture for you guys. So we have Belfast, and let me see if I can share it for you guys so that way you guys can see it. Here we go. All right, so we have Belfast, we have Coda, we have Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, and Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. So quite a selection, Jerome, of these films. Which one do you picture is going to take home the Oscar?
I mean, like I said, I originally was making these picks based on what I want to win. So out of all these, I finally saw all these films. This morning, I watched the rest of Belfast. So that was the last one. Out of all of them, I want King Richard to win. Now, do I think it's going to win? I hope it does. I mean, it's possible. But I think that Coda is probably going to win. I think Coda is probably going to take it because of the momentum and everything it's been winning and the type of film it is because it's so unique about, ASL and like I said, Coda, a child of deaf adults, like a story like that. Like I haven't really seen a story like that, even though it's a remake of a French film. But for American films, I mean, I don't really remember any film that's specifically about that type of family dynamic and that unique situation. But King Richard to me was the best film out of all of these. But like I said, if King Richard doesn't win, I wouldn't be mad if Coda won, which I think will probably win. And or I wouldn't be mad if Coda won, or if Don't Look Up wins, or if West Side Story, because those are my top four. And any of those four, if any of those four win, I'll be fine. It's just if any of the other, I mean, like I did, Nightmare Alley was pretty good, and Belfast and Dune, but I don't think those were the best films, and of the year out of those nominees, and definitely not the other ones. I'm not even gonna mention them. But those top four, if it's King Richard, Coda, but I think Coda's probably gonna win, but I want King Richard to win. But if it's King Richard, Coda, Don't Look Up, West Side Story, any of those four, I'll be fine. I hope it's one of those four. Please do the right thing, the Academy. Vote for one of those four.
All right. So for me, For me, I believe that believe it or not, I think that Power of the Dog
Oh, please
may
don't.
actually win Best Picture. We
I hope it
have
doesn't.
all these films, are awesome films. However, in terms of how they speak to you, I would say Power of the Dog has the most momentum. It has a lot of momentum right now. You've been hearing a lot of buzz, about that film. So I guess I would say with that one, I believe that it's going to take home the Oscar. However, I would like to see Coda win. I uh, uh, wouldn't feel any type of way to see other films win. As I said, I believe Power Dog will win, but I would like to see Coda win in terms of that overall story of how it spoke to me of what it talks about in terms of like inspiration and striving for your dreams. So um, it spoke to me on a completely different level as someone who is an entrepreneur, someone who you as well in terms of being able to aspire for towards those goals that you have, and that film spoke to me in that way. So I hope that one wins. However, I do believe that Power of the Dog will win.
All right. Well, we
All
should
right.
have bet some money on this, but anyway, go to
All right,
Vegas.
so we shall see. So that's going to wrap up this episode, guys, of This Week in Review. Real quick, Jerome, can you tell folks where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me at JW Bourgeois 21 on Twitter or on Instagram right there. So JW Bourgeois 21. You can find us also on Instagram at Movers Shakers Unlimited and also at Move and Shake UNLTD on Twitter and Facebook. That's Move and Shake UNLTD. If you want to support us on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/Movers Shakers Unlimited, like Brandon told us earlier. And also definitely subscribe to us on YouTube, Movers Shakers Unlimited. Like, subscribe, click the bell so you can get the feed, and then tell your family, friends to subscribe also. We're trying to hit that goal of 1,000 subscribers. So, and, spread the word and let us know what you want us to cover, what you want us to talk about. We're all about feedback and, doing special shows just like this, get the tux on. Maybe we'll do something like this for the Grammys. I don't know. It's in a week. You tell me, Brandon. But anyway, all right, man. I know you got to bounce, so I'll send it back to
So
you.
let me hop into it real quick. So you can find me at Brandon Choi ENT on Twitter and Brandon Choi _ENT on Instagram. Thanks again for co-host Jerome for hopping on and sharing his thoughts, his opinions on who our winners would be. Other than that, again, just as he was saying, you can find us on Instagram and on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for checking out a lot of the content that we do here, and continue to come by and share your thoughts and make sure you share all that stuff out there. Share some of the stuff out there that you feel other people will enjoy, because we have some great momentum going and we would like to keep it going. All right, so that's going to wrap up this episode of This Week in Review. I'm Brandon Choi. This is Jerome Bourgeois, and we'll see you soon.
Get that Oscar. Peace out. Watch the Oscars. I want to thank the Academy. Hopefully.